Let's make another randomly generated piece of jewelry. Today's numbers are drawer 5, impression die 55. Here's the die we've chosen. This is a hand-carved, very stylized leaf. The original hand-carved hub, which is the positive form that made this die, was hand-carved long before the invention of electricity. So it was done with no power tools, no light except for the daylight. So I'm excited to see what I come up with. I head over to my hydraulic press and I'm using copper for this design. You'll see why later. But I am using a small piece of urethane, which is that red kind of rubbery looking bit, to form the metal down into the die. And I repeat this process until I pick up all of the detail that's in the die, and that is absolutely stunning. Next, it's time to cut it out. I cut around the outside of the design using a relatively large saw blade just so that this process goes a little bit faster. And then I use a smaller saw blade to trim the little inner details. There are 2 sections within the leaf that I want to remove, so I drill a hole in each of those sections and then use the same small saw blade to trim around the inside edges and pierce the openings. I use a variety of sanding discs and polishing wheels to smooth the edges. Next, I want to add a small silver loop to the top, and here I'm soldering that in place. And I decided that I want to add a small stone to one of the center sections of the leaf. And now here's why I chose copper. When you carefully apply heat to copper, it runs through a range of different colors. And if you are strategic about how you heat the piece, you can create a semi-permanent color on the copper that you can't do with silver. I heat the piece until I get the color I want, and then I apply a wax sealant. And here's where I want you to guess what I'm making. We're switching gears entirely. I've partially flattened some thick copper wire, and now I am hammering along one edge of the wire. By hammering along one edge, I am stretching the metal on that side and compressing the metal on the inside. So as I'm stretching that outer edge, the wire begins to curve over. So I do that until I create the hook shape I want. Then I add a texture along the length of this strip and flare one end out into sort of a flat paddle shape. And here's what that wire looks like. Can you guess what I'm making? This time it's not jewelry to wear, it's jewelry for your book. I'm making a bookmark. I signed the back of my piece, and here is the finished bookmark. This is the result of that heat patina that I showed you earlier. It's sealed, but because copper is such a reactive metal, the patina will continue to shift and change over time. In the past, everyday objects were much more precious and ornate, and I love the idea of using techniques that I use to make jewelry to make more functional, non-wearable items. I hope you like it, and let me know if you'd like to see me make other non-wearable pieces in the future. If you want to play along, I need you to leave me 2 numbers in the comments, a number 1 through 8 to determine which drawer I'll pick, and a number 1 through 85 to determine which die from that drawer I'll pick. Thank you all so much for playing along, and I will see you next time.